Before we get started, I want to thank Verve for sponsoring this video. You can help support my channel and get a 30-day free trial of Verve Premium by clicking the link in the description below. Verve is a digital streaming service with tons of content on offer. Comedy, horror, documentaries. You like anime? Well, they got Crunchyroll and Funimation, and in fact, they just added Dragon Ball Super dubbed. You can sign up for channels individually, but it's only $9.99 a month for Verve Premium, which includes ad-free access to every channel, offline viewing on your smart device, and exclusive shows like Last Man, Harmon Quest, and Bravest Warriors, which just launched Season 4. For some slightly more adult humor, I recommend Shadowstone Park from Jason Steele, the creator of Charlie the Unicorn. Remember, link down in the description. For a limited time, you can click that to get a 30-day free trial of Verve Premium. And if you're watching something cool on Verve, let me know in the comments. Ahoy hoy, all you fine folks. So I kept things pretty spoiler-free in my Super Mario Odyssey review, then asked if you guys were into the idea of me doing something of a follow-up down the line, talking about more spoilery aspects of the game. And the answer was a great big fat yes. I got about 1 million comments on YouTube and off telling me that I should indeed make such a video, so here I am. And I was originally going to combine this spoilery discussion with my discussion on Odyssey's endgame, but after writing the script, I realized that both sections would pretty much be equally long, so there was no real reason not to just split them up into their own videos. So let's talk about Super Mario Odyssey some more, because 45 minutes, plus the endgame video, plus 2 long videos about the game before it even came out, were just not enough. But I swear, after that, I'm done. First, let's talk about something not exactly spoilery per se, but an aspect I couldn't really comment on fully until I completed the game: the difficulty. There are definitely plenty of good challenges in there, but overall the game is easier than I expected. And like, I thought all the first run moons would be the easy ones, but then all the really hard ones would come with the moon rocks and the extra moon kingdoms. I mean, I was always hearing someone online complaining about one moon or another, going on about how such and such level was just so ridiculously impossibly hard. And as I worked my way through every moon on my list, I kept expecting to finally hit that one challenge that would make me give up my dream of 100%ing the game. I mean, I'm not a very skilled gamer, and I'm also not very dedicated, if I'm honest with you. If something too hard comes along, I'll usually be like, I could practice this one thing 1,000 times and eventually beat it, or I could just go do something else. So I was just waiting for it to come, the moon that stopped me dead in my tracks and just made me go, okay, I'm done, I'm never completing this game. But it never came. In my review, I talked about how after hundreds of moons, I had yet to find a challenge that was really tedious and or overly difficult, and now that I've gotten every moon, I can say that's still true for the most part. There were some tough ones in there, sure, challenges that took a few dozen tries or more, but it was always just the right amount of difficulty to keep me trying. Even Darker Side wasn't too bad. I thought that was gonna be horrible, but it wasn't. It just kind of took some practice and patience. Overall, I'd say I'm happy 100% completion was ultimately accessible for a borderline casual player like me, but I do wish there were more hard challenges. If Odyssey gets a sequel, it doesn't need to be like way harder or anything. It should just include a higher number of those tricky sequences. I love the one with the scooter course where you have to do it without the scooter. That is a great example of a really excellently challenging level. Something that feels impossible at first, but you just have to push yourself that hard to beat it, and finally reaching the end feels like a huge accomplishment. You're like, whoa, I had no idea I was capable of doing that. Okay, and before we move on, I will say there is one single moon in the entire game that I think is complete garbage, that's just stupidly hard and completely not fun. And it's beach volleyball. Lots of people had problems jumping rope. I thought it was tricky, but not too bad. Other people thought some of the bonus levels were hard or whatever, but this was it for me. It just takes so long to work up to a decent speed, and it's so easy to mess up and have to start the whole thing over. Like, why on earth did it have to be 100 for the second moon? Why not 50? That's hard enough. And this probably would have been that one single moon that prevented me from completing the game if it weren't for the fact that you can basically cheat your way through it in 2-player mode. I can't tell you how glad I am for this. Next up, here's the thing about nostalgia. Nintendo loves the whole nostalgia thing. I mean, they've been shoving classic 8-bit Mario into anything and everything basically forever. They're just crazy about reminding us where Mario came from and trying to get a little extra love from grown-up fans who might remember those days. But amid all the design-related breakthroughs Nintendo had while developing Super Mario Odyssey, they had another kind of breakthrough. They realized that most of the people with fond memories of playing the original Super Mario Bros. Are 50. Okay, obviously most of us have played the old games. There's the Virtual Console, and I had a Super NES, and my friend let me play Mario on her NES. Most of us have at least been exposed to the classics. But the point is, Mario has a whole new generation of fans, and for a lot of them, 8-bit Mario is not nostalgic. They weren't even born yet when Mario made his debut. For me, Mario first made a mark on my life with Super Mario 64. So when I saw Peach's castle and found Yoshi on the roof and drained the moat and jumped into a painting and earned a moon by looking up at the stained glass window, I finally knew what Nintendo had been going for all these years. I've always been so indifferent to the whole nostalgia thing, even growing annoyed at times by how incessant it can be. But the second they started playing to my nostalgia, I instantly got it. I was just like, oh, my childhood! I flipped out when I found the Blocky Mario outfit. I mean, I wore it almost exclusively after that point. And then the one place where it's like the courtyard with the booze, oh, man. Anyway, I just thought that was kind of funny. And I hope in the future they incorporate more N64 and maybe even GameCube games into their whole nostalgia shtick. I'm sure there are plenty of people watching this right now that would react just as strongly to a pair of sunglasses and a little Isle Delfino music. Moving on, my favorite kingdom? Wooded Kingdom. Visually, it's just amazing. I feel like it might be the most creative environment in a Mario game to date. A wooded mountain covered in machinery, filled with robots who are obsessed with gardening and flowers. The whole thing is wrapped in an enormous greenhouse with snowy mountains in the distance. It's just gorgeous and so weird. It's also big. I felt like some of the kingdoms were disappointingly small, but this one just goes on and on with so many hidden bits. And that music, the way it kicks in right when you enter the main part of the level, it's just so jaunty. Probably my favorite track in the game, truth be told. Why are we hearing this weird, surfy, jazzy music in a robot-filled forest? It doesn't make any sense, and as such, it makes the most sense of all. My least favorite kingdom, if I had to pick one, probably Lake. There's nothing wrong with it just doesn't really stand out from water levels in other games. And it's pretty darn small, really just one tiny area and one medium one. Nothing particularly creative or interesting about it. So as I've stated before, Nintendo didn't keep much of this game a secret. Every gameplay mechanic, virtually every capture, nearly every kingdom, all in the trailers. Also, as I've said before, I want to discuss this in a whole video on the subject down the line, but not today. Point is though, by the time I got my hands on the game, there wasn't really a lot left to surprise me. Some of the highlights for me were those rare moments when it took me off guard. The sequence in New Donk City where suddenly you're on a scooter running from a T-Rex, that was awesome. I thought for sure I'd left that thing behind in Cascade. Then it was a long time before I talked to the right robot and found out about the Deep Woods. And discovering a whole new area, that was just magical. I know there was footage of the Deep Woods in the very first trailer, but I guess I'd forgotten, and I'm so glad I did. Then of course, there was that T-Rex again, hearing the footsteps, wondering what they are, then finally seeing the thing stalking around. The first time it spotted me, it scared the poop out of me. I'm not used to experiencing that kind of fear while playing a Mario game. It's a very foreign feeling. Well, I mean, ever since... The single best surprise, though? Oh, we caught up to Bowser. Now we're gonna fight him, and we're gonna save Princess Dragon. What? Dragon? Guys, there's a dragon. There's a dragon now! Suddenly there's this realistic-looking fantasy dragon, and you find yourself fighting it in the dark, crumbling ruins of some sort of scary Castlevania kingdom. The whole thing is so out of place in a Mario game, and that's what made it so darn delightfully surprising. Probably my favorite part of my entire experience with the game, just for the crazy surprise factor and epic factor. A few more things before we finally give this game a rest. To answer a question I've been getting since the review, the worst capture in this game is this guy right here. The motion aiming is awful unless you set sensitivity to max, and if you just want to use the stick, the slightest amount of pressure possible will instantly move the camera at maximum speed, making accurate aiming nearly impossible. And on top of that, you gotta take your thumb off the stick in order to hit Y to fire. It just seems like no matter how many times I use this guy, I always end up fumbling with him and getting frustrated. I don't get it. Lastly, let's talk a little about that ending. It was amazing. The fight with Bowser itself was only okay. It wasn't particularly epic or special or anything, but of course it's the following sequence that really does it. In the back of my head, I kind of suspected we might end up seeing a Bowser capture situation at the end, but I was still so pleased to see it happen. I had the biggest smirk on my face. I love how when you first capture a frog at the beginning of the game, you get this fun little cutscene that takes you through the frog's life, and that whole thing basically exists just to set up the joke that's completed when the same thing happens to Bowser. Then the whole ending sequence is just really fun and empowering. You're just blasting the crud out of all these rocks, and this new song is spurring you along. It's certainly the best "it's gonna blow, we gotta get out of here" sequence I have played in ages. And of course, there's the last cutscene, that poignant moment where it's like, oh, Is he gonna do it? Is he gonna kiss her? Are they finally gonna really get together? Then Bowser jumps in and they're just smacking each other around. It's just funny. And when Mario jumps off Bowser's face at the last second, gotta say, I was laughing pretty hard. That whole entire ending was just fantastic. Like I said in the review, easily the best ending in any mainline Mario game. So that's that. I am done. Let's finally stop talking about Super Mario Odyssey already. At least until it's time to start speculating about DLC or Super Mario Odyssey 2, which will be, let's see, oh, look at that, it's already time. Tune in next time for a bunch more Super Mario Odyssey talk. See you then!